There are many artists in the Pokemon TCG, and it's my goal to cover as many as I can so I can help you, the viewer, determine who you should collect for your collection, whether it be expensive or inexpensive. As long as it makes you happy, that's all that matters to me. Recently, my channel's been on a roll, so if you enjoy the content, make sure you leave a like on the video, and let me know in the comments who you'd like to see reviewed next. In this video, I'll be reviewing what could only be considered as a legendary artist in the Pokemon TCG, being the artist Aya Kusube. I'm reviewing this artist for my 10th outing in the Pokemon Artist Review series. Hopefully I can continue to create reviews for people's favorite artists, and help people find their new favorite artist. If this series has helped you at all, let me know in the comments below. Firstly, we'll talk about the artist himself. Aya Kusube is an artist who debuted in our English set Neo Discovery, released June 1st, 2001, and is working on Pokemon cards to this day. They've illustrated 138 cards since their debut, and have a very impressive portfolio, with a style that was established early on and still continues to their works to this day. The criteria for this video will be as follows: style, an otherworldly kind of feel, and beauty. For my first criteria, I want to try to break down the kind of style that Kusube puts into all of their cards. Trying to break it down and see what makes an Aya Kusube card an Aya Kusube card, if that makes sense. Let's look at the Dragonair card from EX Dragon, an older Kusube card, but one with a strong sense of style that Kusube is so good at capturing. I think that something that makes this card specifically so interesting is that the surroundings of the Pokemon are all spotty, like there are a bunch of black dots employed on this card to make the Dragonair stand out amongst these clouds, because the Dragonair isn't the spotty part of the card, that would be the background. So that makes the Pokemon in the card stand out quite a lot. And now, let's look at this Murkrow card from Battle Styles. I really love how the Pokemon in this card is certainly shaded with that Aya Kusube style of shading. Kind of a dotty sort of shading, but it's very subtle. I really like the gravestone around the Pokemon as well. They're also unique, with specific designs and engravings. The shading makes the environment feel a little eerie, but also very beautiful as well, which is something that I really appreciate. The expressions on the Murkrow's face say it all: this state of wonder, and almost like an existential crisis. It's a really cool card from a set that not a lot of people care for. For my next criteria, I wanted to talk about the otherworldly vibes that Kusube puts into their artworks. Let's take this Reshiram illustration from Legendary Collection. This card is nearly symmetrical, but the environment around the Pokemon is so surreal, with all the shapes, colors, and objects. It's a very visually appealing card, with this feeling that's the furthest thing from grounded in our reality, but it doesn't need to be. It's just a really beautiful, abstract-y kind of artwork. The next card that I wanted to talk about would be the Naganadel and Guzzlord GX alternate artwork from Cosmic Eclipse. I really love the artwork on this card. I like how we can see Guzzlord devouring things all around it, as Naganadel looks over at the ravenous Pokemon. The environment of the card is unlike anything you could see in this world, surrounded by dust clouds and a world full of red. The environment and the artwork perfectly fits these otherworldly alien Pokemon, and I think it's a really beautiful artwork. Finally, I want to talk about the beauty of a lot of Aya Kusube's artworks, starting with the Regigigas V-Star from Crown Zenith. I really like how this artwork almost looks like some kind of cave painting, like the background is a canvas, and the artwork is something that one might have seen back in the ancient times, like a prophecy of Regigigas carrying an entire island on its back. Not only does this characterize Regigigas, but it also shows us this beautiful illustration of the Pokemon moving an entire island. Next, I'll talk about the Zekrom card from Celebrations. And why not, just throw the Reshiram into the conversation as well. But we're just talking about the Zekrom right now. The paper-like background ripping and tearing while this menacing Pokemon stands a little stunted in the card frame is a really nice effect, and the clouds and waves all around the Pokemon add to that beautiful effect that I was talking about. I think that Aya Kusube just has this way with their artwork, making a card look exactly how it's supposed to, every single time, which I find really admirable. And I know that phrase doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I just think Aya Kusube is so good at making their cards look so interesting, I suppose. And now, for my top 5 favorite Aya Kusube cards. In no particular order, here they are. Firstly, we have the Chinchou from EX Hidden Legends. I love how you can see the Pokemon hiding behind its own bubbles. The card has a super strong sense of identity and personality, and I like Chinchou as a Pokemon. That abyssal dark background adds a lot for me as well. I think this card is a unique card for a Pokemon who I feel is a little underappreciated. Next, we have the Arcanine from Skyridge. This card is both a non-holo and a holo card, which I think is cool. But this card is also just so captivating. I think that the pose that Arcanine is in is really cool. It looks so fluid, like it's mid-motion, and the simple muted background looks super nice as well. This card is just memorable for me, and I think of this card when I think of Skyridge as a set. Now, the Naganadel and Guzzlord GX All Art. I really love the colors on this card. That deep red background juxtaposes the two Pokemon featured on the card, as the colors are way different between them. And just the pose of Naganadel mixed with the ravenous nature of Guzzlord makes me appreciate this card a lot more. Next, we have the Regigigas V-Star from Crown Zenith. I really love the aesthetic of this card. I think that the whole idea of this legendary Pokemon carrying a whole island on its back is such a novel idea that works so well in execution. Like the water at the bottom of the card is fading into that nice off-white background. It looks super nice, and the shading on this card is stellar. And finally, the Lance's Dragonite from Versus. This is a really amazing looking Dragonite card in my opinion. I think that the shading of the Pokemon looks so nice. I like how you can tell where the light is coming from, as the Pokemon's left side is almost completely shaded, and I like the simplistic background. I think the pose is captivating, and the card just looks exquisite to me. And that was Aya Kusube, the 10th artist reviewed for Pokemon Artist Review. I plan to do a lot more with this series, but I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, tell me in the comments who you'd like to see reviewed next, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. And I'll catch you in the next one.